that. And so if I am so focused on staying on the line, I can't fulfill my assignment. But my God is big enough to handle my fault, my strokes, screw-ups, my mess-ups, because he's already prepared for what I might do. He knows what I'm going to do before I do it, and he already made preparation for me before I get there. What follows darkness is light. That darkness is the indicator that light is getting ready to shine. So there it is in Genesis, when darkness was upon the face of the deep, and God in the spirit form moved upon the face of the waters, and then God said, let there be. Because darkness precedes the light. Are you understanding what I'm saying? But he needs the darkness there so that God can move upon the face of the deep, so that the shift can take place. Listen, look at your neighbor and tell your neighbor that shift take place in the darkness. Oh God, y'all didn't hear what I just said. Everybody's not going to see the shift that's happening. They see the chaos, but they don't see the shift. They see all the craziness going on in your life, but they don't understand that underneath the darkness, God is moving in secret. He's moving in quiet. He's moving in the hidden places. He's moving in the cracks and the corners and the crevices. He's moving in places that you cannot see. And when the light comes, they're going to see a new order. Afraid to dream, afraid to imagine. But I'm here to tell you that you are an infinite, limitless, boundless being. Are you willing to do what is necessary to have what you desire?
Thank you for joining us. Please take a moment and like the Facebook page. Subscribe to the YouTube page and hit the notification bell so you'll be notified when we go live. If you are finding value in these enrichment sessions, please consider supporting this page financially. Your donations allow us to continue to provide spiritual enlightenment, self-exploration, and kingdom knowledge. Also, consider becoming a partner because partnerships have this privilege. As a partner, you'll be able to attend our annual Partners Only Summer Summit, join us for our 6 a.m. virtual daily guided meditation sessions, weekly advanced empowerment sessions, regular prophetic insights and instructions, 30% discount on all Emerge books and merchandise, and a custom Emerge t-shirt. You'll also gain full access to the private Emerge Movement community page as well as group chats. Once again, thank you for watching.
And good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Emerge Movement. I'm your host, Isaac J. Miles Sr., and I am so excited that you have decided to join us this morning for this empowerment session. We are Emerge, empowering people on their journey towards spiritual wholeness. You have come into the right place at the right time in the right moment. This is an opportunity for you to gain the tools necessary for you to create, cultivate, and then curate the life that you desire. Today, we're going to be dealing with a really important conversation, a topic that we began last week, and we're going to continue it today and hopefully bring it to its conclusion today. But we're going to talk about healing the wounded soul. Healing the wounded soul. So many of us who are on here today and all of us who are matriculating through this life experience have experienced the kinds of wounds, hurts, pains, and traumas that not only affect us in the immediate, but then they have a lifespan that stretches into our adulthood, informing our thoughts, our words, and our actions. And yes, creating a reality for us that most times we are taught to try and look outward and blame external forces and external issues and people, places, and things, when in fact we are creating the reality for ourselves like a self-fulfilling prophecy. We keep repeating the same cycles over and over again. And you think that maybe moving to another location or changing your relationship status or achieving a high amount in the academic field or being successful in business or gathering a load of material wealth will somehow wipe all of that away, when in fact, when you are isolated and alone, when you have to deal with the reality of yourself, all of those old hauntings, those old echoes, those old hurts, traumas, and scars remain there and continue to haunt your very existence. But I've got good news for those of you who tuned in today. Regardless to where the genesis of your hurt is, there is hope and healing, wholeness and happiness reserved just for you. And today we're going to not only discuss the origins of a wounded soul and soul trauma, but we're going to deal with not only its origin, but its effects. And then we're going to talk about how you practically go about healing those old scars and wounds and coming to a place of completeness, wholeness, happiness, and feeling fulfilled in your life. So I hope that you're ready. I hope you came prepared to learn, to listen, to participate, because the comment section is open. I'd love to get your thoughts, your ideas, your inputs, and as well as all of your questions that you may have on the subject matter. I'm going to try and make sure I pay attention to the comments and try and address every comment and every question that arises during the course of this conversation. Now, before we begin and dive into the subject matter, I'm going to ask those of you who are watching us here on Facebook, as well as those who are watching on YouTube, to do me a favor. Please like this video. Do it right now. Hit the like or the love button or whatever you want to do, whichever those, but hit that button. When you do so, the interaction helps to expand the reach of the platform. I'm going to ask you to do a couple of other things as well. Thank you for those of you hitting like right now. I see them coming up on the screen. Thank you. Continue to hit like or love on that button. The other thing I'm going to ask you to do is to hit the share button. If you're on YouTube, hit the share button and a link will pop up. You can either share it to your Facebook page, your Instagram page, or even to X, or what used to be Twitter. Or you can copy the link for that particular share and send it out in your group chat, send it out to all of your friends and families and cousins and invite them to come and be a part of the conversation. For those of you watching us on Facebook, when you hit the share button, you can share it on your page or in any of the groups that you're a part of on Facebook. You can even send it out in Messenger and invite your friends and family to come and be a part of this conversation. So please hit the share button, do it right now, and invite others to be a part. Last thing I'm going to ask you to do. On Facebook, now you can't do this on YouTube, but on Facebook, you can tag your friends. I'm going to ask you to take a moment in the comment section and begin to tag all of your friends and families and associates, your colleagues, and invite them to come and be a part of this conversation. All you have to do is hit the ampersand there, the little and button, and add their name behind it. You will tag them and they will be notified that this broadcast is on the air. And hopefully, perhaps they will decide to come over and join the conversation. Let them know that we're going to be talking about healing the wounded spirit and that this may be the perfect conversation for them. Thank you again, and I appreciate each and every one of you. All right, so let's jump in. Let's dig in. Good morning. I'm looking at the comments now. Diana, Theresa, for Jamie and Gloria. It's good to see you on, as well as so many others of you. If you'd like to say hello in the comments, go ahead and do that now. I'd like to acknowledge each of you that are on with us. I can see the comments from Facebook as well as from YouTube. So if you'd like to comment good morning, a hello, a grand rising, or whatever your particular vernacular is, do that now so that I can acknowledge you. As we prepare to jump into this amazing and impactful conversation and topic this morning, we're talking about healing the wounded soul. We began this conversation last week with part 1. And I'm going to just rehearse a couple of those things that we discussed last week and then go further. I'm going to do it very quickly. I'm going to do it very generally because I want to reserve time to try and get through as much of this particular teaching and empowerment as we can, and then get down to some practical application at the end. Good morning, Sharon. How was your flight? How was your trip so far? So glad that you made it safely and that you are up early, because I know you're you went to the West Coast, I think. So that means you had to get up a little bit earlier to be able to join us this morning. Good to see you on with us all. I think Whitland is over in the Midwest as well at her sister's graduation from law school. So I know if she's watching, she had to get up a little bit earlier as well. Okay, so let's get into this. Healing the wounded soul. This is vitally important because all of us at some point in our life and development has dealt with hurt and pain and trauma that has left wounds and scars, and in some cases, open sores on our soul that has had such a dramatic impact on our life, it continues to influence our thoughts, our perceptions, our words, our choices, our decisions, and our actions. And so many times they become so ingrained and embedded into our psyche that we begin to identify with the pain and the wound. And we begin to become complacent and adjust, because adjusting is a part of our natural ability and our innate capacity. We begin to adjust to that pain or get used to the pain, incorporating it into our everyday life, to the point where we're not even aware anymore that we are operating from a place of pain or fear or hurt or rejection or abandonment. That we are operating from a dysfunctional place, a broken place, but to us it has become our normal. And so we set our anticipation and expectations and even our intentions to fulfill or live in alignment with the pain that we've become so accustomed to. You ever wondered why people seem to always go from one abusive relationship to another, from one dysfunctional relationship to another? They move from one situation that is adverse to them on a job to the next one. And with every single job, they encounter the same kind of adversity. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the common denominator in each of those scenarios is you. I know. It is tempting to blame everything around you, the people, places, and things that are occurring around you, the situations, the circumstances. We are taught, trained, and domesticated to look outward, not only for our help, but to also look for the thing to blame. I wouldn't be this way if my mama hadn't, my daddy hadn't, my sister, my cousin, if my boyfriend, my husband, my ex-wife, my girlfriend hadn't done this, if I hadn't gone through this situation, circumstance, or this relationship and encounter. If this didn't happen in my life, if I had happened to be born in a different place at a different time, in a different family, to a different culture, a different race, a different ethnicity, maybe if I had not been involved in had not been involved in this particular religious ideology, then I would be much better off, and this would have never happened in my life. But after all is said and done, and all of the movements and all of the machinations about all of the different things and situations and circumstances, the common denominator in every single one is you. You don't change your circumstances from the outside in. Ooh, you need to write this one down. But you change them from the inside out. My goodness, let me say that again. You need to write this down in your notes. You don't change your circumstances, your life, your situation from the outside in, but you change them from the inside out. Your control stops at you. You don't get to control how other people think or act or behave or respond, but you do get to control who you are, how you think, how you respond, how you show up in the world. You get to control how you perceive the world around you and how you respond. You get to control your thoughts, your words, your actions, your choices, and your decisions. You get to control what your life is going to look like. Yes, you are the master of your own destiny. Lord, I know this one is difficult, especially for a lot of my religious friends, but let me say it again. You are the master of your own destiny. That's what I said. That no one can stop you. No one can alter, change, fix, or set up, predestined, pre-design your outcome and your destiny other than you as God, co-creating with God in eternity prior to your coming into this three-dimensional world. You hold the power. Let me say that again. You hold the power. No devil, demon, spirit, witch, hex, no familiar curse, none of those things have an effect, nor do they control, manipulate, or what your life is going to be or look like. You have to accept and agree to go along with a perception, an idea, a belief system that is antithetical to your highest good in order for you to begin to experience the manifestation of those thoughts. There is a reason that in the scriptures, there is a principle that says, gird up the loins of your mind. To gird, to guard, to fortify, to protect the creative force. That's what the word loins there means. To protect that creative force of your mind. Because all creation before it comes into three-dimensional reality begins in the mind. It begins with a thought. What you think, what you believe, what you imagined to be true, what you accept as your truth produces the reality that you will experience in this life. We all live in the matrix of the reality that we create for ourselves. Let me say that again. We all live, abide, and experience in the matrix of the reality that we create for ourselves. It's not your mama, your daddy. It's not the preacher, the bishop, the prophet, or the evangelist. It's not your cousin, your sister. It's not your boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife. It is not any of those things that are determining it. It's not your hard-nosed boss. It's not racism or segregation or oppression in these United States or around the world. You get to determine what your lived experience is going to be from your perspective, no matter what the horrendous and horrible intentions of others may be. Nobody gets to determine what your experience of life is going to be but you. And here's the other side of it that's going to be equally hard for you to swallow, for some of you to swallow. No one is coming to save you. I'm going to let that marinate for a minute while I take a sip of this tea. No one is coming to save you. Jesus is not going to fix it. Oh, Lord. My church folk, I know. But just hear me out. Hang on long enough just to hear the other side of what I'm going to say to you. Jesus is not going to fix it. Buddha, Allah, Krishna, nobody's coming to save you. No one's coming to rescue. You know why? Do you know why? Do you know why Jesus is not coming to save you? Allah, Buddha, Krishna, no one is coming to save you. Do you know why? I can tell you why. This is probably going to make you gasp for just a second. For some of you that might be new to this platform, you know why they're not coming? Because you don't need saving. That's what I said. You don't need saving. You don't need rescuing. You just need to remember be reminded to reassemble the image of yourself before you experience all the trauma and the hurt. Let me say that again. You just need to be reminded. Remember, reassemble the you that you were prior to the hurt. Can you remember? And I know for some of you, you may have to go back as far as your childhood, infancy, or adolescence to remember. But can you remember a time when you existed in this world before the hurt, before the trauma, before the pain? Who were you before you were scarred, before you were broken, before you were wounded? Who were you before you felt the rejection or the pain of the abandonment? Who were you before the rape or the molestation, before the disappointment? Who were you before the regrettable choices, decisions, and experiences? Who were you? Who was that person when you came into this three-dimensional form in the womb of your mother and then entered, drawing your first breath as you entered this three-dimensional realm of existence? When you were carefree, worry-free, burden-free, when you weren't worried about bills and you weren't worried about whether people liked you or not. You had no concept of what was good or bad, what was right, what was wrong, what was acceptable, what was unacceptable. You were in a place and a stage of innocence where you just wanted to explore. You were curious to know how everything moved and worked. Your curiosity ignited your imagination and created fantasies of your life and its experiences. You had no cares, no worries, no concern. You didn't take anything personally. You didn't allow it to affect you or to wound you or to hurt you. Even when you experienced feelings of anger or being mad or sad, it only lasted for a moment and then it passed and you couldn't even remember what you were angry, mad, or upset about. You remember when we were kids and you would fall out with your friend, your neighbor, or someone you were playing with, and that fallout and that anger and that animosity would last all of about 10 to 15 minutes. And then you were right back playing together again as though nothing ever happened because you didn't wear and internalize those hurts or those pains. Can you remember that part of who you are, who you've always been, that has now been buried beneath all of the ugliness and the filth and the hurt and the rejection and abandonment, the trauma, the rape, the molestation, the traumatic events that have taken place in and around your life that you have now internalized? Can you remember? Do you remember before they started trying to impose, and I say they as in your culture, your environment, your family, your friends, your mother and father, your religion, to impose a set of rules, regulations, and parameters around you that were designed to control and manipulate and then domesticate you, to train you like an animal that this is how you're supposed to act and feel and think and respond and be, that this is the only acceptable way for you to show up in the world? Can you remember, imagine this now, growing up in a home where you are 2, 3, 4, 5 years old before you're in the position to really cognitively comprehend all of the things that are being said around you, words that are being spoken around you. You hear the sounds and you feel the vibrations of their voices and the vibrational frequency of their spirit as they speak, but you really had not fully comprehended comprehend it. And so you didn't comprehend the language, the words, the verbiage that was being spewed around you. And so you were innocent to everything, curious. You had to be told stop, 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 stop several times because you really didn't understand the concept of stop. Some parents went as far as to incorporate some type of punishment as a way of making you realize that when I say stop, this is what it means. Don't do this, don't do that, don't go there, don't go here. You learned what that word stop meant, and you learned the kinds of behaviors that would elicit that response from a person that you saw as an authority. You thought everything was acceptable, good, and pleasurable. As long as you enjoyed the experience, you were fine with it. Then imagine, in the midst of all of the freedom and the liberty and the curiosity that you're experiencing as your innocent self in your childhood, adolescence, now your parents decide to take you to church. And all of a sudden, your whole world begins to change. They decide to bring you in the company of other people with ideologies, beliefs, and systems that are in operation within their life that are antithetical to that liberty and freedom. And there you are, having experienced this kind of liberty and freedom and innocence, now being told that everything that you enjoyed, everything that you feel is wrong. That God doesn't like this, he doesn't like that, and it's against the rules for you to do this. And you've thought of yourself as wonderful, living in your own world, adored, happy, curious, and having fun, only to now see a man or woman standing in a pulpit as a person of authority telling you, you're a sinner. You're broken. There's something wrong with you. You were born in sin and shapen in iniquity. You haven't done anything. You haven't committed any act. You haven't done anything of a horrendous nature, horrific nature. Yet this person, now dressed very formally, speaking with an authoritative voice, is now telling you that God is against you, God doesn't like you, and that you are a sinner bound for hell. That you are born into this sin, the handcuffs of hell are on your feet and the shackles of damnation are on your hands, and you are on your way on a downward spiral toward this torture chamber that lasts for eternity under the supervision of Satan, Lucifer, Abaddon, Apollyon, the devil, and that you are eternally lost unless you let go of that innocence, that curiosity, that feeling of being fulfilled and self-sufficient, complete and whole, and accept the fact that you are broken, that you are sinful, that you are a wretch undone, stuck in the muck and the miry clay, and then adapt the ideas, the beliefs, the system that we have in this particular church or mosque or synagogue or temple. If you don't accept these particular beliefs, ideologies, these doctrines, then you are eternally lost. Imagine the horrendous transition that takes place in the life of a child when you have been experiencing the liberty and freedom of soul, spirit, mind, and body to experience and express itself without guilt, without shame, without worry, without regret, and now being cast into a position surrounded by people who tell you you're not good enough. You're not good enough. You're not enough. There is something intrinsically and inherently wrong and broken inside of you. and you are domesticated, trained now to think that there is something inside of you that is so broken, only some outside exterior force can fix it, and it can only remain fixed if you obey all the rules, the laws, the regulations, the doctrines, the legalisms, and the dogma that is attached with this particular organization or this particular culture or this particular environment or this particular family and household. We do it all the time, and we've all experienced it growing up in this world. There is a great book that I recommend. I've got about 5 books that I recommend to everyone, especially when I'm doing one-on-one coaching with them. One of those books is called The 4 Agreements. It's by Don Miguel Ruiz. It is a powerful, powerful, impactful book that causes you to look inward and begin to see your internal domestication and programming and the systems set up within your own mind and soul that begin to dictate your thoughts, your perception, your words, your choices, decisions, and your actions. I want to read a quote of a passage from that book, and we're going to unpack it on the other side. Stay with me. It says, children are domesticated the same way that we domesticate a dog, a cat, or any other animal. In order to teach a dog, we punish the dog and we give it rewards. We train our children whom we love so much with the same way that we train any domesticated animal, with a system of punishment and reward. We are told, you're a good boy or you're a good girl when we do what mom and dad want us to do. When we don't, then we're told you're a bad girl or a bad boy. When we went against the rules, we were punished. And when we were doing and operating along with the rules, we got a reward. We were punished many times a day, and we were also rewarded many times a day. Soon we became afraid of the punishment and also afraid of not receiving the reward. The reward is the attention that we got from our parents and from the people, from other people like our siblings or our teacher or our friends or the preacher or any other person that we deemed in authority. We soon developed a need to hook other people's attention in order to get the reward. With the fear of being punished and that fear of not getting the reward, we then start pretending to be what we are not. We start pretending to be what and who we are not, just to please the others, just to be good enough for someone else to appreciate or reward us. We try and please mom and dad. We try and please the teachers and the school. We try and please the people at the church or in the synagogue or the mosque or the temple. We also start acting out a part and a role that has been given to us with an expectation that this is how you're supposed to be, act, do, and behave. We pretend to be what we are not because we are afraid of being rejected. The fear of being rejected becomes the fear of not being good enough. So eventually, we become the person. We become someone that we are not. We become the version of the person imagined by others, we conform to the system, the legalism, the dogma, the religion, the environment, the culture, and we become a copy of mama's belief or daddy's belief or society's belief or the church's belief or the culture's belief. And we do it all for the benefit of the imagined reward that follows if we simply do it right. And ladies and gentlemen, he goes on to say, this domestication is so strong that at a certain point in our lives, we no longer need anyone to domesticate us or train us or program us. Why? We don't need a mom, a dad, a preacher, a school teacher, or anyone else to domesticate or train us or program us. Why? We are so well trained and programmed and entrenched with these ideological beliefs that we become our own domesticator. We become our own domesticator. We are an auto-domesticated animal or being in this earth. We lose our identity, end quote, sorry. We lose our identity and we begin to take on the identity of the culture, of the family, of the friends. We take on the culture of the religion. We take on the culture, the mindset, the identity. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Of the pain, of the hurt. You identify with the trauma until the trauma is all there is. You develop something that I heard George Bloomer said, here's a term that he used, I borrowed from him. You develop a trauma doctrine. Yeah, a set of rules and regulations or laws that now begin to govern your life, and they're not based upon your innermost desire, your innermost being. They're not based upon the guidance of the Spirit of God within you, through you, and as you, but they are centered around what happened to you. They're centered around the pain. They're centered around the trauma. And they become your book of the law, your rule book. They become your Moses that's going to guide you through this this wilderness toward what it says or imagines will be a promised land. You begin to develop an ideological way of living based upon the religion and its doctrines, its rules, its regulations. You begin to develop a trauma doctrine around trying to gain the acceptance of those that you deem to be in authority. I said this once before, a long time ago in a video, that we have to stop asking children, and I know it's harmless in our intent, but our words have power. Stop asking children what you want to be when you grow up. Because the message that sends to the child is that who you are right now is not enough. Who you are right now is not acceptable. And so you have to grow up to become something different in order to be acceptable, instead of being who you are right now. And so we say to them, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? Because who you are being right now is not enough. Who you are is not acceptable. Your authenticity doesn't meet the measurement. So who are you going to become? And then that is usually defined by what you do. Lord have mercy. Can I tell you, you are not defined by what you do. Your job does not define you. Your title does not define you. I don't care if you bishop, reverend, rabbi, apostle, cardinal, pope, or whatever you want to call yourself. I don't care if you are CEO, CFO, COO. I don't care if you call yourself African American, African, white, Caucasian, Asian, whatever your title is, it does not define you. Those things are there as a reflection of different parts of your existence, but they are not the substratum of who you are. You are not defined by what you do or the title that you wear or the city that you grew up in or the church that you grew up in. So many people go around entitled, giving themselves an identity based upon the religious ideologies that they've been surrounded by and that they've been programmed to believe. And so they say, I am Baptist, I am Methodist, I am Pentecostal, I am Christian, I am Muslim, I am Buddhist, I am Hindu, I am an American, I am African, I am European, I am French. And so they take on these titles as an identity, and they then live within the parameters set by that identification. When you listen to me, ladies and gentlemen, and write this one down in your notes as well, when you take on or adopt an identity, you are now limited by the parameters of that particular identity. When you take on an identity that is associated with any of these tangible, visible, three-dimensional things, when you take on an identity that is less than the divine, you confine yourself to the movements, the actions, and the capacity of that particular identity. So if you identify yourself as Christian, you are bound then to the parameters set by Christianity. And anything that exists outside of Christianity, you have to disassociate yourself from in order to maintain your identity. If you identify yourself as being Muslim or as being Hindu or Buddhist or Jewish, then you are confined by the parameters of those things that are associated with those particular titles, and you cannot now operate outside of them, because to do so is to disassociate yourself from the particular identity of that particular thing. If you identify yourself as only you are African American, Black, you are a part of the culture, then now you confine yourself to the parameters set by the culture. Are you understanding? Therefore, you try your best, your darndest, to disassociate yourself from anything outside of the parameters of the culture, even though it may serve your highest good, because you're afraid that the culture will remove your black card. Y'all not talking back to me. What you mean, you black and don't know how to play spades? What you mean, you black and you don't know how to do the wobble and the bus stop? What do you mean, you black and you don't like collard greens and black-eyed peas and fried chicken? What do you mean, you black and you don't have rhythm? Do you see the cultural barriers are set up? What you mean, you saved, sanctified, filled with the Holy Ghost, and you still like sex, or you're homosexual or lesbian? What do you mean that you are lesbian, but you're accepting of men as well? What do you mean? You can't be Pentecostal and not speak in tongues. You can't be Baptist and you haven't been baptized in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. What do you mean, you POW, and you don't believe in the baptism in Jesus' name only? What do you mean? How you gonna call yourself a part of our group and then not disassociate yourself from all of the things outside of the parameters set by our particular grouping? What do you mean? You can't be my child because my child would never act that way. My child would never do that, say that, be that. My child. So now you are told, taught, programmed, and domesticated into thinking that the only thing that is acceptable within the household with your parent figure is that you conform to their idea of what is acceptable to being their child. Anything else, then you are excommunicated, and now you are no longer my child because you don't think, act, move, and believe and behave in the manner that aligns with what is my truth. Are you seeing the domestication? Are you seeing how you begin to take on the identity of the harm and the hurt and the fear of rejection, and how you develop low self-esteem and begin to internalize all of these exterior experiences, forces, and influences, interpreting them in such a way that you set up your book of the law, you set up your rule book, you set up your commandments for your life, and you will dare not deviate from them for fear that you will not be accepted. You will be denied the reward from the people of influence, power that you have elevated and now admire them. You will lose the reward of their acceptance, admiration, and their approval if you operate outside of the identity that you didn't form for yourself, but that was given to you by them. Are you hearing what I'm saying? You didn't decide to be Christian. You were raised in a Christian home. It was told you that this is the only acceptable way. Just like in the Buddhist home, they were told it was only acceptable to them. And so the vast majority, with very few exceptions, maintain to operate within the parameters of the household they were brought up in. You believe in the saving power of Jesus because that's what your mama, your grandmama, your great-grandmama, and everybody around you told you that you believe. You believe in the power of Allah because you were brought up in an environment that worshiped Allah and told you that Allah was all powerful and almighty and that Islam was the only way and the right way. You believe, are you hearing me, in the Dharma, because you were raised in the home that says that Buddha or Hinduism is the only way. And so you limit your actions, thoughts, behaviors, beliefs to the parameters set by that particular religion, ideology that domesticated you from your youth. You believe that Israel and Judaism are the same thing and that you have to indeed support the government of Israel in order to be a good Jew because Jewish people believe this way. And so you adapt an idea around a particular governmental civil organization and a movement, even when you see the atrocities of genocide happening to other people, and deep in your gut, you know that it's not right, it doesn't feel right, it doesn't align with your morality or your values. But in order to be a good Jew, you have to accept it and align yourself with it, because that's how you were domesticated, and you are confined to the parameters set by that particular ideological belief. And so now your soul, which was created to be free, limitless, boundless, and infinite, is now confined to the small space given to you by the environment, the culture, the people around you. You experience a trauma like molestation. You experience a trauma of rape. You experience the trauma of rejection and abandonment, and you internalize it until now you begin to identify with it. And either you go to one extreme or the other. You become extremely promiscuous because you don't see yourself as valuable, worthy of love and acceptance. You don't even believe in unconditional love. You think that your sexuality is just a tool, a gift of manipulation to be given, and the only way you feel loved is by experiencing and engaging in sexual proclivities and in sexual activity. Or you go to the other extreme and you become prude and frigid, and you become so tied up and repressed and suppressed that when those natural, ingrained, innate sexual desires and sensuality arise, you rebuke them as a devil, as evil, as ungodly, unacceptable, suppressing them, and you hold them in abeyance because you feel like to embrace them and engage in them makes you nasty and unacceptable. You have internalized the event and begin to blame yourself and say, it's my fault. If I wasn't like this, if I hadn't done this, if I hadn't said this, if I had just done this, if I had just said that, then this wouldn't have happened. You internalize the trauma and you begin to blame yourself. And so you begin to do things in order to keep yourself from experiencing it again. So you will overeat and stop caring about how you look, so that maybe if I'm not appealing or desirable, then it won't happen to me again. And all of those are the result of a wounded soul. And you're taking on an identity that does not belong to you. Are you understanding what I'm saying to you? Let me move further. And so the effects of a wounded soul can manifest in multiple ways, as I just got through describing, affecting various aspects of your individual life, your emotional turmoil. You have these persistent feelings of sadness, anger, fear, numbness that impact your daily functioning and relationships. You're angry for no reason, just mad at the world, trigger temper that just pop off at any moment. I go from 0 to 100 just like that. And people actually have become so domesticated and entrenched into that they think that that's a point to brag about. Don't play with me, honey, because I'll go from 0 to 100 in a minute. In a hot second. Don't play with me. I am not to be played with. Don't you F with me, because I promise you, you don't want none of this, honey. And you don't even recognize that it's a trauma response, that it's dysfunctional. You've identified with that temper, and it has served you well in so many occasions Whereas it's gotten you out of situations, circumstances, made people back off, gotten the praise and the approval of other dysfunctional beings around you. And talking about, child, you see, Tanya, you better not fool with Tanya. Shanae don't play that. Tyrone, who, child, Tyrone is a beast. When inside you recognize that there is something dysfunctionally wrong, you have these persistent feelings of sadness, suppression, oppression, depression. You find yourself crying for no reason, walking around feeling sad, depressed, having a depressed outlook on life, having these low expectations, and that everything is terrible. Woe is me, blue, despair, and agony on me. It's a trauma response. You're not supposed to be sad indiscriminately throughout your life. You have this overwhelming fear of being curious, experiencing, taking risks, fear of achievement, fear of not achieving, fear of being who you are and presenting yourself as authentically as you are can. Fear that holds you in abeyance and keeps you from. Do you understand? There are some of you that are watching me right now that have not achieved many of the goals that you fantasize about because of fear. Fear that what if it doesn't work? What if it doesn't happen? What if it doesn't come together? What if I fail? What if I fall? What are people going to think if I say I'm going to do this and I don't do it and it doesn't happen for me? What if I try and I don't complete it? And so you operate from that place of fear and you only venture out to stick maybe the tip of your toe into the water, and you'll do a little tiny bit that's way beneath your capacity, way beneath the infinite ability that's within you. But you want to make sure that what you do is successful because you are so afraid of what failure will look like, feel like, and what others are going to think about you. And so you limit what you're willing to do. You can regurgitate all of the principles and the practices. You can recite all the scriptures and all of the quotes from the Torah and from the Quran and the Bhagavad Gita. You can quote all of the inspirational sayings and writings from different books, authors, gurus, and life coaches. You can regurgitate all the principles and they be intact and absolutely correct, but you're unable to practice them and practically apply them to your life because you are so afraid, what if I try it and it doesn't work? What if? What if? What if? And you never even consider, because the fear is so entrenched inside of you, you never even consider the other side of what if. What if it does work? What if everything comes together? What if I succeed? What if I win? You only consider it from the negative side because you've been so domesticated with fear. And so you are in this inner emotional turmoil. What if I come out and express who I really am? Will people like me? Will they accept me? Another effect of emotional, or rather of a wounded soul, is low self-esteem and low self-worth. You have this negative perception of yourself. You self-criticize. You have difficulty establishing healthy boundaries for your life. Low self-esteem and self-worth. You are the hardest on yourself of all people. You don't allow yourself to make the slightest mistake. Mistake? You should know better. I can't believe I did that. How could I be so stupid? Lord have mercy. Sometimes I'm just so dumb. I'm crazy. I don't understand. I look terrible. My hair looks bad. Why are my lips this way in the first place? How come I don't have big breast or a big butt? How come my butt's so big and my breast is so big? How come I don't have muscles and cut like other men? How come I'm so fat? Why am I so black? Oh, goodness, I'm so pale and white. You become so critical of yourself. You never give yourself lead way. You never compliment yourself. People tell you, you look so good. Oh, child, no, I don't. Oh, well, you think you must be blind. Something must be wrong with your glasses. You're so smart. Me, child, I ain't smart. I don't care. I barely finished high school. Man, please, I ain't never even been to college. I ain't all that. You can't even take a compliment. I like your dress. This, child, I ain't paid but $3 for it. Didn't nobody ask you what you paid for it. I bought this from the Goodwill. Did anyone ask you where you got it from? You can't just say thank you and accept and embrace the compliment because you are so self-critical because of the low self-esteem, low self-worth. You're beautiful. You're gorgeous. Really? You think so? That is a trauma response. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Another effect, and I'm trying to hurry because I'm running out of time. I've already been on for over an hour. Another effect of a wounded spirit is relationship challenges. Oh, this is a big one. You have difficulty in forming and maintaining intimate relationships due to the fact that you have trust issues and fear of being vulnerable, fear of being open, fear of laying your life open before another person. What if they hurt me like the others did, like someone did, like that did? What if this situation is like that one? What if I go through it again? What if they leave me? What if they don't like me after they see who I really am? What if I present myself and I'm rejected by them? And so you are in pseudo relationships where the person doesn't even realize that they're not in a relationship with you. They are in a relationship with the person you are pretending to be. This is the reason why, along with a lot of other multiplicity of other reasons like religion and culture and societal norms, that you find so many gay men or lesbian women marrying a straight man or a straight woman. Come on. It's not because it's not because they don't recognize that they have same gender loving attractions. It's because religion and society and culture has so demonized it. They are afraid to come out and express who they really are. And so they take on the role and they play the part of being a man's man or a woman's woman, whatever the hell that is, in order to try and fit into what they deem as acceptable to the outside influences around them. Why you can't be Christian and be a lesbian or gay or bisexual or transgender. You can't be Muslim and be lesbian and gay and bisexual and transgender or queer. You can't be. No, that's not acceptable. Black people don't do that. White people don't do that. We don't do that in the Indian culture. We don't tolerate that among Asians. That's not something that we are. You've been around them too long. It's something wrong with you. And so you find millions of people pretending to be someone that they're not, and their wife, their husband, their spouse, their significant other is involved with not who they are, but the version they pretend to be, until eventually, sometimes years and decades later, it surfaces and it comes forward, and the person can no longer live in the shadow and the obscurity of the person they pretended to be. And so people with a wounded spirit can come across as narcissists They can come across as self-centered. They can come across as selfish, or they can come across as enablers and codependent because their soul is wounded. I got to keep going. Another effect of a wounded soul is spiritual disconnect. You feel spiritually adrift. You question your faith and the faith of all, and the purpose of suffering, and the purpose of existence and life, the purpose of being. You question the existence of God. And if God is real, does it hear me? Does it feel me? Does it care? Is it above me, beneath me, around me? You have a warped sense of the divine and of spirituality and of all things that are godly and that are beyond the realms of your conscious cognitive understanding. And so while you play the role in church, shouting, dancing, tongue talking, or repeating the Torah and reciting it, or going through the bar mitzvah, or doing the act of meditation, or wearing the hijab, and covering and carrying yourself in Assalamu alaikum and Salaikum salam, deep within you, there is this knowing unsureness of whether any of it's real, factual, true. Does God really even exist? And if it does it want anything to do with me? How come I can't see it, hear it, feel it, experience it? Is this real? You found yourself in the middle of dancing and shouting, thinking, is the Spirit doing this, or is this me, or is any of this really real? Because when you leave the building, the synagogue, the church, the mosque, the gathering place, when you leave those places, you feel empty and disconnected. You feel hollow and void. Another effect of a wounded soul is physical symptoms. Yes, stress-related illnesses, stress-related health issues, such as insomnia and fatigue and chronic pain. And it begins to affect other parts of your body. Another effect, and I'm moving quickly, I know, are behavioral patterns. Coping mechanisms like substance abuse and compulsive behavior and withdrawal from social interactions. You become extremely introverted, alcoholic, addicted to a particular substance that gives you liquid courage or courage in a pill, or takes down your walls of inhibitions. You have this low self-esteem, low self-worth, low self-value, and in many cases become an enabler or a codependent. All of these are effects of having a wounded spirit, and there's so many more that I don't have enough time to go through each of them. These are all symptomatics of a wounded, broken, traumatized soul. Are you following me? I want to try and move forward quickly in these next 15 minutes to bringing you to a place of wholeness and healing. So I want to give you some practical steps to begin to get healing, to come to a place of wholeness and wellness. I want to give you some practical steps, a practical guideline that you can use. Now, let me say this from the top for all of you that are listening to me right now. This is not a magic potion. It is a system. It is a set of guidelines that absolutely work if you work them, if you employ them. Number two, in most cases, I will venture a guess at about 95% of the cases, these guidelines are most effective under the guidance of a trusted professional, a spiritual life coach, a leader, a trained psychologist, psychiatrist, someone who can walk with you through the process. Okay? You're learning to integrate your shadow self with your light self. You're learning how to incorporate every part of your life into the life that you desire, cultivating a new life and healing those scars. You need someone who can be objective, loving, without judgment or criticism, to guide you along the way. Number 3, along with it not being hocus pocus, abracadabra magic, it will not happen like that overnight. It is a process. You have years of unhealed trauma, layers and layers upon of it upon your soul. And so you have to methodically peel back those layers piece by piece in the process of arriving to your truest, highest, and best version of yourself. I'm not telling you how long the process is, because for every person it's different. It depends on how dedicated and committed you are to it. But it is a process. And with that, let's begin. I'm going to give you 8 practical steps. And then I think we'll close this session with a mindful meditation and setting our intentions with affirmations toward this journey of healing. Are you ready? Write these down. Number 1, the very first thing is you have to have honesty. Be honest with yourself about your current state and your feelings about it, as well as about any other persons that are involved. Any other outside person, place, or thing that is involved in your feeling the way you feel. Be honest with yourself about how you feel. This is a big one because so many people are in a river that runs through Egypt: denial. I don't feel that way. No, that ain't me. No, that's not. Yes, it is. And you know it's you. You can never get help until you're willing to admit, I need help. It's me. I feel what I'm feeling. It's not the devil. It's not a demon. It's not a hex. It's not a spirit. It's not any exterior force. It's me. I feel this way. I hurt. Acknowledge and validate the emotional wounds without judgment, without guilt, and without blame. Honesty. Number 2, humility and submission. Give yourself permission to feel and experience all the grief and all the pain. Stop suppressing, repressing, and denying it, and allow it to really surface inside you and feel your feelings. Give yourself permission to feel your feeling. You're not sinful. You're not broken. You're not ugly. You're not ungodly. You're not unholy for feeling what you feel. Give yourself permission to feel and experience all the grief, the pain, the brokenness, the trauma, the hurt associated with the event or events, without guilt or judgment. Feel it. Okay? Number 3, renunciation. Release and renounce the relationship or relationships, people, places, and things that contributed to the trauma, the hurt, the pain, the brokenness that you feel. Renounce those things and all of their parameters, everything connected to them. Renounce it. And yes, that might mean renouncing Christianity, your religion. You don't have to have a religion to have a relationship with God. God is not Baptist, Methodist, Pentecostal. God is not Christian, Buddhist, Hindu, Muslim, or Jewish. God is spirit. Number 4, forgiveness. This is a powerful one. Forgiveness. Forgive the person or persons as well as yourself. Forgive the person or persons as well as yourself. Releasing yourself from all the responsibility for what took place. Releasing them and releasing yourself from all responsibility of whatever it was that took place. Okay? Release resentment, bitterness through forgiveness and embracing the transformative power of compassion. Treat yourself with kindness and understanding, nurturing your inner healing and self-worth. Release the anger, the bitterness, resentment, the judgment that you have with any person, place, or thing. Let it go. Do you hear me? Let it go. And here is this aligns with number 5, releasing. Release every part of the person or persons that have deposited in you, that is in your soul. Okay? Release every person or persons, places or things that have deposited any negativity, hurt, harm into you, that is into your soul. Speak aloud, even with confidence, and repeat until you feel the release in your body. I release XYZ ABC. Say it out loud and keep saying it and keep repeating it until you feel that release in your soul, until you feel the weight lifted off your shoulder, until you feel the illumination of light entering your conscious mind and you are no longer feeling the negative effects of that person, place, or thing. Release. Speak it out loud, declare it, and decree it. Number 6, repentance. Contrary to popular belief, repentance is not about apologizing. To repent means to have a change of mind, which consequently brings about a change in behavior. Repent. Actively change your mindset about the relationship or relationships or the people, places, and things. Renew it by taking note of the lessons and the experiences taught you from those things and the gifts, that's right, gifts like wisdom, strength, perseverance, that those things brought to you. Nothing is against you. Everything is for you. All things are working synergistically together for your good. So elevate your conscious mind and begin to be thankful for what those experiences brought you, the gifts that it brought you, the gift of strength and perseverance and faith, what the lessons were that it taught you. This is a different way of perceiving what you've gone through. That's true repentance. Reflect on life and the experiences with deeper meanings and values, aligning your actions with spiritual principles. Number 7, warfare. Again, not the kind you're thinking about pulling down strongholds. I bind this and I bind. Gross misinterpretations of text. In both of those texts, when he talks about pulling down strongholds, casting down imaginations, it's talking about the mind. When he talks about whatsoever is bound in the heavens is bound in the earth, he's talking about your mind. Whatever you bind and loose within your conscious mind will be bound and loosed in your three-dimensional experience. So the warfare is to bring every thought and every memory, all the residue of it, every image into captivity as it begins to rise up and try and override your new understanding and revelation and insight into being whole. You see, because you've gone through those first 6 steps, doesn't mean that those old memories and residue won't try and creep up again. So you have to stay at the ready to war. Every time the thoughts, the imaginations, those feelings start to come up again, to bring them into captivity, making them subject themselves to the divine spirit that you are. And then finally, number 8, encourage yourself. Take time every day, every week, every month, and every year to acknowledge the progress that you've made and the resilience on the healing journey, embracing your hope and with gratitude. Give yourself some credit for starting, for continuing, and for fighting. Stop being so hard on yourself. Even if you stop in the midst of the process, give yourself credit for starting again. Credit yourself for how far you came before you stopped, and then give yourself credit for starting again and completing the process. And continue the process until you reach your nirvana, your place of wholeness and completeness, until you start to see a you that you may not even recognize anymore because it's been so long since you've seen him or her. Back when you were a child, innocent, curious, free, happy, whole, carefree, liberated, so full of joy, hope, expectation, anticipation, and life. Keep doing it until you run into you and start to see the you that you've always been, that was buried beneath the rubble of your wounded soul. That's powerful. Now, as I prepare to close, before I go any further, I'd like for you to join me in a mindful meditation. And we're going to focus our attention and set our intention upon healing our soul, beginning the healing process. So wherever you are right now, find a comfortable spot where you can either be seated or stand or lie down, whatever is convenient for you right now. Just get somewhere where you can just be at peace. Make sure there's no phone on, no television, no radio, no distractions. Just find your comfortable, sacred, safe space. Be seated there or lie down there or sit or stand there. And I want you to close your eyes. Close your eyes. And I'm going to put some music in the background just to kind of set an atmosphere and a mood. Close your eyes. Close your eyes as you look inward. And I'm going to have you to repeat some affirmations along with me. But before we begin the affirmations, I want you to take some deep breaths with me to quiet your mind and settle your spirit. Deep breath in. And release. With every deep breath, you will feel your spirit emerging within you, your soul eagerly longing for the healing presence of God flowing in you, through you, and as you. Hold the breath at its apex until I tell you to release. Deep breath in. And release. Keeping your eyes closed, imagining your soul. Imagine the person you were before the hurt, before the pain, before the rejection, abandonment, the person you were when you were happy, curious, carefree, whole. Hold that image in your mind. Deep breath in. And release. And with your eyes closed, repeat after me. I am a radiant light. I am reflecting the unity of all existence as my soul heals and harmonizes with the divine. I feel the soothing waves of universal love mending my past wounds. I feel the Spirit of God within me transforming my pain into strength and wisdom. I do embrace the sacred actions that lead to my healing. And I do know each step is a divine alignment with my true path. I love the divine journey of my soul. I love recognizing that each experience is a mirror of my inner growth and spiritual evolution. I speak words of healing and empowerment. My words create a ripple of positive change in my life and beyond. I see the infinite possibilities within my soul's imagination. And I am actively crafting a future of boundless creativity and joy. I understand that the entire universe and all of nature conspire for my success. I understand that my intuition is a compass guiding me toward healing and wholeness with every new insight and revelation. I am a testament to the transformative power of love. I am a testament of resilience and perseverance. I feel the divine energy flowing through me, dissolving feelings of low self-esteem and fear, and filling me with unwavering confidence. I do trust God's perfect timing that brought me to this moment. And I do take inspired action to rebuild my life with grace and purpose. I love the creative expression of my soul, and I free my soul to experience, expand, and be and become all it desires. I speak my truth with clarity and courage, because I know my words help shape my reality and foster my healing on my journey. I see the beauty and the balance in every challenge I face. I see and recognize that each contrast brings deeper understanding and growth and evolution. I understand the divine will within me as a powerful force guiding me toward my highest expression of life. I am free from my past traumas, hurts, regrets, And I am reconstructing my life with the wisdom and strength gained from each of the experiences. And I am restoring my soul. Deep breath in. And release. Now say, I forgive every person and place and thing that harmed me. I forgive myself for every action, thought, word, or behavior that brought about my own demise. I release every person, place, and thing that does not align with my highest version of myself. I repent, shifting my mind and my perception and aligning it with the divine truth that since God is for me, with me, in me, as me, nothing and no one can be against me. I embed my thoughts with this truth that all things have, do, and will work together for my good. I cast down every imagination and negative thought. I bring into captivity every disempowering thought, and what I bind in my higher consciousness is bound in my three-dimensional existence. And I loose in my conscious mind thoughts of peace, love, joy, fulfillment, happiness, wholeness, love, grace, beauty, and brilliance. And what is loosed in my higher consciousness is now manifested in my life. Deep breath in. And release. Now just sit there in that presence for a moment. Let that marinate, soak in your soul. Let the goodness, the grace, the love of the divine, the love of God wash over your soul. Feel and embrace that presence. Amen. Amen. And amen. Don't you feel that? I know you feel it. I know you feel that release. It's okay. Experience it, feel it, embrace it, and enjoy it. Okay. So now as we prepare to close out this empowerment session this morning, I want to give you an opportunity to worship and support this platform with your gifts of love, your offering, your tithe, your sacrifice, your seed. If you were impacted positively by the teaching that you received here today, it's only right that you express that appreciation through your giving. When you give, you help support the work that we're doing, and you give us the resources to further expand the reach of this platform. It's our prayer, hope, and dream that eventually this platform will reach around the world to thousands upon millions, impacting them with love, light, and divine truth. Your gifts are what make that possible and help to bring that image into reality. So if you'd like to give today, you can use any of the platforms that you see on your screen right now. I'm encouraging you to take advantage of our Cashapp, our Zelle, PayPal, or Venmo to send your seed, your sacrifice, your tithe, your offering, your gift of love. For those of you who are partners with the Emerge movement, you know what we ask of you to do. Please take advantage of this moment to do so today. For those of you who would like to become a part of the Emerge movement, partnering with us has its privileges. We have a private partner portal, a group here on Facebook that is phenomenal, where we get into teachings like the one you received today, but in far greater depth, as well as others that will never make it to this general platform. We also assist all of our partners with becoming financially fit, physically fit, emotionally fit, spiritually fit for their journey ahead. We offer coaching and family and community. If you'd like to become a partner of the Emerge movement, it's very simple to do. All you have to do is send an email to the email address you see on your screen right now with 3 simple words: I want in. When you do that, I'll send you out an information packet with all the information you'll ever need about Emerge and the Emerge movement. There'll also be included a partnership agreement. Once you read the partnership agreement and sign it, you send it back to me, and immediately you become an Emerge partner. I'll send you an invitation to the private group, and you become a part of a movement that is designed to change the world. I hope that you'll consider becoming a part of the Emerge movement and joining our community of spiritually growing people. Thank you again for tuning in and for being a part of this conscious conversation. Take everything you've heard and regurgitate, use it, listen to the video again and again if you want to. Put it on repeat, write down the notes that you need, and let it bless your life. I'm praying for every person that's been wounded and hurt. I'm praying for your divine healing and restoration, that your mind and thoughts are reformed, reconfigured, that you are reminded of the person that you were always destined to be. Have an absolutely wonderful, splendiferous day, and we'll see you again next week.